Do I need to move this table, Dalton? All right.
If you want to, it looks fine.
Okay, fantastic. So, my name is Justin Myers. Welcome to Grid Knoxville. This is July, and we are talking about how to buy and hold using the BRRRR strategy. Print it. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. So, BRRRR is a fancy way of saying buying properties, repairing properties, putting a renter in there, cash out refinancing, and doing it again. There you go. You guys can go home. We'll just pop the coolers. Sorry, Jason and Kelly. We got some great speakers tonight. I'm glad you're here. Who is new in the room tonight? Who's their first time to Grid? Oh, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Fantastic. We're going to do some intros here in a second. So Grid is a global real estate community, right? We are currently in 31 cities and 10 states around the country. We'll see what international country we pop up in first. My money is on maybe South Africa or Australia. We'll see. There's a couple, we got some connections in. And we are not a room of gurus, right? We are just real estate investors like you doing real deals. The reason why we do this thing is so that we can get into relationship with other investors. We love the real estate investor. We're glad you're in the room. So who's got a win they want to share with the room? Garrett? Awesome. Garrett's got a win.
Hi guys, I'm Garrett. I'm an investor, an agent, work with Justin directly. A win I'm going through right now is I just purchased my second property. I used it with the most creative way I could do it was a DSCR loan on my first property that I have back in my home city in Indianapolis. So that's a win. Just got my second property under my belt. Just working on fixing it up a little bit. So.
Right, and is that going to be a primary? Or no? Sweet, yeah. Awesome. So skipped right there, and you're renting right now, right? Locally.
Right, I'm renting right
Perfect.
now locally. Yeah,
lots of ways to run the play, right? Yeah, hey, it makes sense for him to rent right now. He already has another investment property back home in Indianapolis. Garrett, was that a primary in Indianapolis you turned into a rental?
Yes, I bought an FHA in 2020. Lived in it for a year and rented it out. Own it long term.
Awesome.
Yep.
This is what winning looks like. It feels slow at first, right? It doesn't feel. What are you talking about, Garrett? No.
I'm just joking.
We're not.
What winning looks like?
It is what.
I'm just messing.
It is what winning looks like. I'm not going to really. I'll wait next month to embarrass Garrett. Garrett's doing great. Garrett, you can go see. You don't stand up here. Well, this is what winning looks like, right? Only 12% of the population invests in real estate. It's not glamorous. It just looks like, no, I didn't do anything fancy, right? I still bartend and I sell houses, but I've got a second investment property, right? And I'm planting a seed that I'm going to be able to harvest, and I'm going to actually be able to retire when Social Security doesn't exist, which may be coming sooner. I don't know, right? When Medicare doesn't exist. If you guys are planning on Social Security to be there for your retirement, I've got amazing investment deals for you. Amazing investment deals for you. I'm a 6'3". If you believe in that, let's talk. We've got lots of opportunities for you. The math doesn't math, y'all. The math, unless we find plutonium on the moon or something. I don't know. The math doesn't math what it's going to be there. Who's else got to win? Who's got something good in their life? Yeah, Eric.
For Amanda on the bus, she just passed her real estate exam.
Yes, let's go, Amanda. Amanda just passed her exam, taking big steps. I love it. Fantastic. One more. Who's got something going on in their life? Yeah, Josh.
I'm partnering on a deal with the guy with the microphone.
Yes, Josh and I are partnering on a deal. I've been looking into, here's another thing just to be aware of, right? I was chasing, ran the team, didn't do enough in my personal cash machines. I looked up in January, I was broke, and I was like, I could start selling a bunch of real estate or I could hit home runs. So I spent a bunch of time working on new construction deals. I was like, this is going to be great. I'm going to make on the low end $100,000. I might just flip the land. Found out the land was totally not usable. It had been surveyed by a surveyor, went back, and the city said, hey, it was surveyed on the wrong plat map. And the setback from the river is not 25 feet, it's 60 feet. 3 lots, killed one lot completely. One lot going to have to go either get a variance or put a very strange house on there. And I've got one usable lot, and I'm partnering with Josh on it. So, keep doing the small activities. Practice what you preach. This stuff works. Because it's going to be fine. And I look back and I was like, ooh, yeah, why was first quarter slow? I had to spend 120 hours looking at plans, meeting with developers, looking at this land, working another land deal out west. And I had not earned the right to be spending all that time there, right? I need to be making sure I was feeding the fire on a local level. So, because in real estate, if you're in the sales game, it takes 90 days for anything to show up, right? We know this, and if you're doing flipping, if you're doing wholesaling, if you're doing agenting, any of those active income plays, it takes a while for those to turn, right? Fantastic. Cool. So, who are we? I am Justin Myers. This is my partner, Cory King. Cory is at the house right now. He's got a sick baby. Maybe Cory might slide in. Say hi to Cory. He's at home watching on YouTube. Hi, Cory. We love you. I said hi to you. No one else wants to participate today. Everyone's drinking water. No one's tapping the drinks. What's up, Jeremiah? Welcome. Join us. Do you want to sit up front? Does anyone want to sit right there and be on camera the whole time? I love it. So I am a investor. I'm an agent. I started my career when I was 23 as a mortgage broker. I didn't have a credit card. I rented. I didn't even have a car payment. I had no credit whatsoever, actually, and I was selling strangers mortgages. And what I recall finding, look out for your elderly relatives. You call strangers, and they will give you their social security number in 30 seconds if you're trying to give them money. It was shocking. So there's just side note. Lots of people would give me all of their information in a shockingly short amount of time so they could get refinanced and pull out cash. The reason we run this group, right, is because we want to do deals. So how do we create the biggest possible pond to do deals? If you're new here, we want to learn from you. We want you to learn with us. We want you to meet other people. We want you to build some relationships, establish some trust, go on the journey, get comfortable so you can come invest. If you're in the room and if I talk to you, and I know there's some of you in here, and you already own some investment property, right? Whether it's 1 door or 10 doors, we want you in here so other people can learn from you, right? The most valuable person on this journey is not necessarily going to be me or the speakers from the stage. I'm really glad they're here, right? But sometimes when you see somebody, you're it's hard to imagine 5 years out. The most valuable person is the guy who just bought an investment property, right? Who just, how did you finagle that? Well, I did a DSCR and leveraged this other asset, and you know what I mean? I didn't even have that much equity. That could be the most valuable person that can unlock something. So if you're doing something, everyone in this room, East Tennessee is a pretty modest place. Don't diminish your achievements. If you own 2 doors, let people know. Share. That's what makes the group great, I think. So we got a lot of people that are willing to share. Fantastic. So 4 events coming up. Who's been to one of our other events? Awesome. Shane, which one have you been to? I think you've been to all of them. What's your favorite besides this one? You go to a lot of them.
Well, I like the STR.
Okay, fantastic. So Vernon Corum back there hiding. Vernon runs an STR event every single week. It's the last week of the month, right? It is a deep dive into how to run a short-term rental play here in the metro area. We might talk about branch into the Smokies, but we've been focusing on outside of the Smokies recently. What does that look like? What are the different ways to run that play? I love it. Who else goes? Who goes to our good coffee? Donuts and deals. Yes, Kim, what do you like about that?
I think it's a great opportunity to network, and there's always a deal or two on the table to be looked at and possible something to jump into.
Yeah, so coffee, donuts, and deals, pure networking, 45 minutes. We've tried to make it 60 minutes of networking. What I have found is people like hearing Cory and I speak, apparently, because they always say, hey, you got to talk about something. What are you teaching us? So what we've been doing is talk a little bit about the market, but if you've got a deal, you want to present it to the room, I want to start packing that out, having that be, I'd like to have so many deals we got to go through, put a time limit on, right? We're ripping through 10 deals in 15 minutes. I think it can be really good. If you haven't been, if you're a coffee fan, Andrew Ellis brings incredible coffee. He just opened BRRRR Lounge. Anybody been over and seen Andrew yet in this lounge? Apparently it is unbelievable. So he opened a really high-end coffee lounge where you can come in. He's got his curated beans. You can go play with super expensive coffee equipment, so you can go buy it from him, right? Try different things. It's going to be like a high-end cigar lounge, but for coffee, right? But he brings 5 varietals every single month for us to try.
Well, where is that again? It sounds great.
BRRRR Lounge. I don't know where it's located. Somebody look it up for me. Who's got a phone? What's up?
Excuse me, it's on Carter Street.
Carter Street.
Carr Street. Anyone know, where's Carr Street, Vernon? I don't know where Carr Street is.
Down below campus, down, it's close to our office. Kroger and, near campus, the Kroger down there on the Kingston High.
Okay, so right over by the Beard and Kroger.
Brick and mortar, you get really close to being open.
Okay, sweet. Awesome. And then we've got Intro to Real Estate Investing 101. So if you're just in here, we do this. It's a workshop. We do this on the second Saturday of every single month with Travis. You met him out front, the Raging Cajun. So Travis, we're going to do Intro to Investing 101. Kind of run through what most people I find are not clear about is what is their income target, right? What's their investing strategy? What are the basic plays? That's a place where we can go a little deeper on that, walk you through it. And so we can analyze some deals live as well. Nathan Gort's always in the room for there, our buddy Nathan. So Morgan, are you in the room? Come up here, bud. So here we go. There's all of our events. Ooh, and tomorrow, Cory just ran a really interesting flip. So if you see over here, it's going to be on the left side of your screen. That is a one-bedroom apartment. There's a breezeway. And then is it 3 or 4 bedrooms? Do you remember anybody a better real estate agent than me?
3 bedrooms, I think.
3 bedrooms. Thank you, Cecilia. Cecilia would know. There's a 3-2 on the other side there. So killer house hack. That's another thing. If you're looking at buying, right, you can, right, Morgan, how much? Let's talk this one through. We got a house hack deal. This is Morgan Hardy. Morgan's one of our sponsors here at Foundation. We got to walk over here, Morgan, right in the middle. Yes, right here for your close-up. Stare down there. Grab this mic. Say hi to the folks. Okay. Morgan loves weird loans. Morgan comes to All the Grid. Morgan is an investor.
All the above is accurate.
Also happens to be a mortgage broker. So we're talking about BRRRR, right? One of the pieces there is refinance. You need someone to refinance. That's the most important part of the whole strategy is how to actually get out of this thing, right? Realistically with someone that knows the guidelines. So Morgan can be an asset for you. So on this one, Morgan, Cory thinks he can rent that left side for $1,500. So would 75% of that be a reasonable amount that we could credit towards, count as income when we're qualifying to purchase that?
The first thing is it's going to have to be a formal 2-unit, right? So as long as it meets a formal 2-unit definition, that's going to be your problem on this one.
Okay.
But with that said, there are expanded border income, BOA or DER.
Like
Border.
border, like you're watching It's a Wonderful Life, right? And his mom's running a boarding house, renting out rooms, like border, BOARDER.
So if this meets the definition of an accessory dwelling unit, we may still be able to get some of that income. But here's some of the positives on this. If that is the case, right, and this is considered a single family with an ADU, with that detached part, all of your qualifying, all of the down payment, all the rules like that are going to follow single family rules instead of duplex, which are going to be a lot more flexible for you. It is possible, I'd have to look at the legal description of the property, but it's possible that you might get all the upside of a house hack with none of the downside of getting a multifamily from the financing perspective.
Awesome. Thank you, Morgan. Thanks for coming up here. This is why Morgan is invaluable. This is why you should talk to a mortgage broker, because every conversation ends with "it depends." So you're gonna get a much farther "it depends" with Morgan, and if you send him some documents, you're actually gonna get a real answer, right? Don't ask your local realtor. Like I'm just gonna be like, eventually talk to Morgan because I don't know. Maybe they can count the income. So I'm glad I asked you because I've been running numbers the wrong way. Yeah. So Morgan's a great resource. Fantastic. Thank you. So come out tomorrow from 10 to 2 if you want to see this. It is a very cool flip. Cory can tell you in exhaustive detail exactly how he did it. He did it in a really short amount of time. What's the timeline on this one, We's been running it for him. Just kidding. Just kidding. 30 days? Yeah, I think so as well.
He always sticks to a 30-day.
Well, that's not.
Well, he's stuck on that 30-day.
That's a 30-day target. No, we very famously have our year-long flip that went double the budget but yes, I appreciate it. That was before Garrett's time. Garrett's a knight of summer. He wasn't here for the winter. So no, I love it. Fantastic. So Cool, cool, cool. And if you want text reminders, because I know the most common thing I hear is I don't know when the next thing is, which is I don't understand. It's not like we run 48 events a year now, so why could that possibly be confusing? You can sign up for text reminders. If you want text reminders, we will only text you reminders about this stuff. We've got some cool stuff coming down the pike. So I think that's enough. That's enough setup here. Awesome. Who's new in the room? I'm going to pick on Walter and Johnny here.
Okay.
What brings you out? Who are you? What do you do?
My name is Walter Conway. I actually do a little bit of alternative financing for real estate. I'm a guest of Elliot's, and I swear this is the fourth time he's invited me. The first time I've made it, so I feel a little guilty.
So to be very, very clear, those are very normal numbers. So when you're doing something, when you're prospecting, when you're networking, right? The way this realistically works is I cold call, I end up chatting with Johnny. Johnny owns like investment property. I'm like, hey, you should come meet me at something, right? Networking events are super easy to get on one-on-one with somebody, by the way, guys. If you're trying to like build there and you're trying to use free tools, networking is one of the cheapest ways there. But then you got to invite them 6 times. My single guys know what this is like. This is what dating is like. You just ask and they ghost and you just don't take it personally and then they stop talking to their ex-boyfriend and all of a sudden they're ready to go to an event. It works just fine. Like, but you've got to just be persistent. So no, totally normal. Most people it's like 6 or 7 invites. This happens all the time. I'll talk to Cory and he'll be like, I've been tripping on this person. Like, but we just don't take it personal because we've been in the hospitality industry. Like, people not coming is nothing. It's not a reflection on you when they don't reflect your invites. Everyone is busy. So thank you all for being here. It's July 2nd. I'm glad that you came out. We appreciate you. Who else is new? Mike.
Name is Mike Nemechek. I'm actually live in Michigan, Metro Detroit area. My in-laws are down here in Knoxville, and I've been toying with the idea of doing some more investments down here. Electrical contractor for the last 10, 12 years, and electrician for the last 25. Trying to use some of the funds from that industry to get into real estate. Technically, to go off of what Justin was saying, we do own 2 doors. One is a short-term rental in Gatlinburg that we've had for almost 2 years now. And then Efficient Electric owns its own commercial property for the business. So it's tax write-off as well as equity in the property. So thank you. Good to be here. Nice to meet y'all.
Thank you. What we find over and over again, I'm going to walk all the way over here, Dalton. I'm sorry. Lee, why don't you come up here so I don't have to crush Dalton's angle real fast. Or not. Or Jay. First time in the room, Lee. Come on up here for a second.
Oh.
So Lee's first time. They just launched a venture.
Hi, my name's Lee Stokes. Me and Jay and I, we started a dumpster business. So we got some dumpsters and so we're just trying to get that out going. We're also doing some things together, and I've got some investment properties of my own, got some rentals. Was flipping at first, then I started keeping some, now I'm back into flipping. So the whole idea behind the whole thing was leaving it to my daughter at some point where she has no interest, so ain't no sense in me keeping them.
Okay, well, we're buying. Just saying.
So that's kind of where we're at.
All right, I love it. Thank you. Glad you're here. Welcome. So thank you. I talked to Elliot earlier. Elliot owns some property overseas. Chat with him later. Pretty interesting. Sounds exciting, but also challenging, right?
Yeah, I'd be happy to say a little bit about it.
Yeah.
I started out in 2016 by buying some properties, first in Virginia and then around here. And then I decided to move virtually everything overseas. And it was basically a currency play because I had concerns about a declining United States dollar. And but it's a very, very difficult thing to do. I put some properties in Mexico and some other properties in Canada. Canada has made it illegal for people to buy property in Canada, so you can't do that anymore. And Mexico is very difficult. I've got it profitable. It's making about a 5.5% return, but it's just a lot of work learning how to deal with the government and the regulation there. So I don't really recommend that either. So if you're concerned about currency, I recommend buying gold. So.
I love it. No, so again, right? Collectively, share your experiences. What I found is, from doing this for a long time, the person you're looking for is in the room. We appreciate you being here. If you need to make a connection, grab us. And if you're brand new and you just kind of want to talk through this with somebody, hey, I'm concerned about currency and I'm thinking about going in property overseas, come just chat with one of us. I'm happy to say, well, it could work for you. Let me introduce you to Elliot. He'll give you his perspective. Let me introduce you to Garrett, who just bought one here locally, right? Let me introduce you to Nate. Nate works with Approach Lending. Nate, come up here real fast because people don't know you. So this is, we all know Chris and Flint from Approach Lending. Nate is now working for them. He's representative. He's I don't know what your title over there is, Nate. But if you need private money, which we're going to be talking about on the buy side, a lot of the properties we're talking about do not qualify for conventional financing. Nate is a resource for you.
Yes, I am.
I love it.
I'll talk one-on-one with anybody for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I met Nate because we were talking through a bunch of creative deals.
Right.
Remember I talked in January how I was like getting distracted, chasing around some of these deals. Nate was someone where I spent a couple of his weeks chasing a deal out in West Knoxville to see if we could like make some crazy stuff work.
Yeah, that was funny how you used that in your example. How it was the time suck and didn't pan out, and I was part of that. So
yes.
I feel somehow connected to you.
And if I didn't waste Nate's time, he might not have went and got this side hustle. So there we go.
That's true.
Glad you're here.
Thanks.
No, so yeah, if you need a private lending, we got him in the room here. Awesome. Who's traveled the farthest today? Man, who? Yeah, where are you from? Greenville. Wow. Greenville, South Carolina? Greenville, Tennessee. Greenville, Tennessee. Anybody come farther than Greenville, Tennessee? Mike did come from Michigan, but he says not for this. I don't know. We gave a prize.
Not just for this.
Some guy came from Italy, and he wouldn't come for this, but he was from Italy that week, and we let him win, but that's fair enough. I'm going to have you, there are speakers, so they're already going to be fine, so we'll grab you some. We got some gear for you, Mike, over there. Don't send you home with some stuff. All right, and who did their first deal in the last 30 days besides Garrett? Who did? All right, so Garrett doesn't win for two reasons. Yes.
Doing a joint venture for a new construction.
Joint venture for a new construction. I love it. I love it. Travis, you already have gear, so that's fine. Tag us on socials. Like, hijack the brand. Like, we'll retag you. This is an easy way. Like, everyone should know that I'm going to say this every single time. Go follow Mailbox Money B, right? Brandon Brittenham. EXP is the most profitable brokerage in the U.S. right now, right? There's Redfin in terms of real estate companies. Then there's EXP as a brokerage. Then there's Compass, and everyone else is not really making money. And Brandon teaches wealth for them. And he says that his best lead source is unpaid social media. So just a hint real fast. Don't sue us. Trust but verify, right? Don't invest money that you cannot potentially lose or not be able to access for longer than you expect. I think that's probably one of the best tips for BRRRR. Yeah, like that exit strategy may change. Awesome. So real fast, we're going to set the stage, and then I got some great guest speakers I'm going to bring up here. Who currently is a buy and hold investor? Who do you have in the room? So I see Josh, I see Tracy, I see Barron, Garrett is, Kim is it Sunny? Summer. So Sunny, Summer, got it. Jay is, right? Elliot is, international accounts. Zara is, Duke is, fantastic, right? Jay, why are you a buy and hold investor?
For my kids, generational.
Gotcha, okay, cool. It's something I can go pass on. That was Lee's plan too, but his daughter doesn't want it. Well, fantastic, that's okay. That's okay. I don't mind being adopted. You can keep it in the family. Do you know in Japan, statistically, like they have a super high level number of family businesses, but it's because people that are junior executives are adopted into the CEO's family. Just fun fact. Yeah. Who knew that? Who else? Josh, why are you buy and hold? Make money. I love it. There we go. Keep it simple. So different strategies, right? All that a buy and hold is that you're going to hold this on, you're going to hold on to this property for a long period of time. So not like a slow flip, not like a, a rehab project, which you take too long, not even something that maybe you hold for a year because you don't want to like pay short-term capital gains tax. I am buying property because I want to become a landlord. I'm playing Monopoly, right? I want to buy the properties on the blocks. So rental property, income property, that is what buy and hold investing is, right? It is not sexy. It is not fun. I don't see buy and hold investors with Lambos, right? Because you're keeping your equity in your property typically. So they're a little different from a fix and flip. A lot of them are the same. So anybody, if you haven't been, all of our meetings are on YouTube. Just search Grid Investor, one word, and you're going to find over 450 videos. We've got a bunch of them, so we've gone through how to fix and flip, and we've gone how to estimate repairs. Both of those are really good supplements. And if we're skipping over stuff, you don't understand it. So there's some different questions. We're not going to answer these. We're going to put Jason and Kelly on the hot seat and make them do the work. We'll be up here in 1 second, right? But there's some questions you want to ask when you're thinking about buying and holding versus fixing and flipping. What's my capital position or what's my access to capital, right? Do I have a strategy around investing? If you don't have a strategy around investing, please come to Investing 101. Let's sit and have that. That's probably the most important thing you can do before you find out that you're building something, right, that you don't want to own, that you don't want to run, that you got to pivot out of. What's my risk tolerance? That's another huge one. Lots of people want to have a different tolerance for risk than they actually do have, right? They want to not lose sleep over the thing that they do have, and they just should sell that short-term rental because they're freaking out all the time. It doesn't matter if on paper it makes sense. Like if you're freaking out all the time, you should be doing something different. Life is too short, right? And what's your tolerance for becoming a landlord? Like dealing with people, right? If that sounds like your worst nightmare, you might want to look at something different. There's commercial property, there's other things. You could do joint ventures, you could lend money, but it might not be for you if you don't want to be a landlord. Okay, some other great questions just to look over. What's the biggest question someone came here that's new that wants to learn how to buy and hold? Who came here because they want to buy their first property? Eric, what's your name? Carissa, fantastic. Carissa, what's the one thing you could leave here today that would kind of open the doors for you?
Just like where to find really good deals.
Okay, awesome. Where to find really good deals. I love it. Do you have like if I asked you, hey, what does a good deal mean to you? Do you have a good definition for yourself?
Yeah, 70% or less out of 10 out.
Awesome. So 70% of the after repair value is what you'd like to find something for. Yep. Motivated sellers, driving for dollars. Distressed assets, pre-foreclosures, probate deals, all of those. Not easy. Everyone else is anybody else looking for that same buy box? Awesome. Who wants to buy deals at 85%? Dustin, you want to buy a deal at 85% LTV? Okay. So great, we'll send those to Dustin. I think most people are buying. That buy box, by the way, is the most common buy box. I have been hearing that. I have had to have heard it hundreds and hundreds of times in my lifetime now. And I used to work for a company that sold 3,000 foreclosed homes. And that was every single investor would call me and say, hey, I got $100K in cash, and I'm looking to buy something at 70% of ARV. It's a great formula. You should do that. It's just a challenging buy box because everyone else is looking to buy the same thing. And oftentimes, the people that you're looking for, if you're not sourcing your own leads, we're buying them. And so a more realistic play for us is like, hey, if you want to give me cash, we can partner on them, but like Cory's doing one a month now. So they're not really passing through the filter. But you might have found some wholesalers that might, but even then they're trying to sell it for a little higher, I'd imagine. Cool. So, you know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to bring up our speakers. We'll jump back into here. Here's a very quick overview before we get into all of this stuff. On the buy side, just a couple things to keep in mind, right? Do I know what a good deal looks like? Do I have the resources in place to evaluate my buy side? Do I have a target market that I'm looking for? I wouldn't recommend trying to become an expert on all of East Tennessee at the same time. It's pretty difficult. If you're looking at deals in the same neighborhood or the same zip code, I see Greg nodding his head, like it becomes a little easier. Like, right, you start to gain some confidence a little faster. Like if I've only looked at one deal in Maryville this month, I find, anyone done this? I look up 6 months and I still don't have a really good idea, like at a glance, what this property is selling for. Am I the only one? Like, you know, like if I see something in Jacksboro, I don't know if that's a good deal or not. I got to go look at comps. I don't do deals in, Garrett's on his head, I don't do deals in Jacksboro all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but like in 37921,
37920 for me.
yeah, I know it, right? Because we're in it all the time, consistently. Cool, cool, cool. So, anybody got any questions they want answered before we bring our speakers up here? We kind of talk about what this strategy looks like, what it can do for you. Because I think we're going to run it through step by step with them. Awesome. So, I'd like to bring up Jason and Kelly Ricker. Give them a big hand. Thanks, they came on short notice to us on a holiday week. They have never met me before. This is a referral from our buddy Hayden Fike. There you go, Jason. So I'm going to let you and Kelly, I'm going to pull up your slides, and I'm going to let you and Kelly introduce yourself and kind of share a little bit about your background and like what this strategy's done for you. Kind of paint a picture. Is anybody else investing because they want to get financially free? Fantastic. That's why Jason and Kelly are here. Right? They've got like a story of how they've been able to do that. And you know, they've got that heart we have in Grid where like, I asked them, they had never met me, and they said, sure, I want to take time out of my day on my own dime for free to come down and talk to you and share what this has done for me because it's really changed our lives. So we appreciate you.
Real estate has been a game changer. Can y'all hear me all right?
Yep. You might have to get it right here. I'm going to trade you. And you can keep it usually right there.
Right here? Is that better? Yes. All right. So I couldn't turn my neck.
Scoot that way. Scoot that way. Keep on going.
Right over here.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to see these slides at some point, but we're good.
Right here,
We're good.
We got you right
look
here.
at right there. So I couldn't turn my neck a while ago. Just help me get an idea of who is here. How many people are here that have bought a couple deals this year? Where's my players at? All right. How many of you guys buy property just like, say, you're a collector, or you're just picking up a property too for retirement, let's say? Where are those guys at? A few of you. So a lot of you are here to try to do your first deal, right? So I know what that place is like. So my question is, with all the available information that's out there today, all the resources you can go to, why are more people not getting financially free doing this stuff? I'm curious. I'm opening it up. I'd love to know. Scared?
There's too many resources, people don't know what to trust.
I heard fear.
Good answer.
I heard focus. Too much work.
That's a big one.
Money. Where's the down payment to buy these properties? Can't find the down payment. I love it. I'm glad you said that one.
Great answers. Great answers. So for us, being out mentoring, coaching some people across the nation for the past couple of years, here's my biggest reason why I think people don't do it. I don't think they've got a big enough why. They don't have a big enough why. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. What I'm going to do, some of you will already noticed, I've got me a little note sheet here. I've noticed like getting on stage, our story's got so many little rabbit holes, I can sit here and talk for 30 minutes about our story, and you're not going to get much value out of it. So I've tried to jot down and just highlight some things that I think are relevant to this crowd, a little bit about our story so you can learn a little bit about us and what we do, and then we're going to dig into this BRRRR strategy. So Kelly and I, we both, we grew up believing that American dream, right? Go to school, get good grades, get a job, and then start buying a lot of stuff. Yeah, that was us, buying that stuff. And then you're somehow thinking, how is that going to make life work out, right? So we followed that script for a while, and it worked, and we got real good at it. We got really good at spending a lot of money, or other people's money, buying stuff. But you know what? It didn't really sit right with us, especially later on in life. It just didn't sit good. We started feeling less fulfilled, more so at the end than ever. Does this sound familiar to anybody here tonight? Just curious. All right, we all think that. So a little bit about us. Growing up, we learned work the hard way. We both grew up on farms. So we were out in this summertime heat doing tobacco, putting up hay bales, square bales of hay, wintertime fooling with cattle. So it doesn't matter if it was 95 degrees, blistering hot, 100% humidity, or it was 20 degrees or 0 degrees in the wintertime with the wind blowing 20 miles an hour. It doesn't matter. We realize there's some non-negotiables in life. You just got to get stuff done. So that work ethic, that stuck with us. We went on to school. We worked our way through college. Went on, got those corporate jobs. We started raising a family, built a house, started doing all the things. But you know what? It just felt like we were in this financial hamster wheel. I mean, we just could not get ahead anymore. So we're going to be talking about the BRRRR strategy tonight. If we can go to that next slide, I'm going to show you something about the BRRRR you've probably not ever heard before. Well, in fact, I know you don't know about it because I just made it up yesterday. So here's what I come up with yesterday. This was us in corporate life, right? Unfulfilled. Go back one.
Yep.
That monotonous, boring job. No motivation. Then you get into this routine of life, right? Same old schedule, same way to work, back and forth every single day. No progress, no excitement. And then you start feeling some resentment, right? Frustration. Oh man, I'm just working way too much. I'm ready to pull her hair out, right? No time, no energy, do anything, and then no growth. I mean, it just feels like you're not growing personally anymore. And then you get into the regret. Walking around, kicking yourself in the butt. Man, I wished I could have done this. I wished I should have, could have, would have, should have done some of this stuff. And then there's no passion. And then, of course, you repeat this cycle year after year after year, just working hard, paying bills, and just that same old routine, and there's just no meaningful change or purpose in your life. So after 20 plus years of doing this, me and Kelly look at each other and we're like, really? Is this it? Is this all there is? So we got, what we did was we got into, what I first want to say is I want you to know we were super thankful for the jobs we had. So thankful God had opened up those doors. It paid for our house, our vehicles, our getting our kids ready for college. We weren't broken. We're just exhausted. I mean, wore out. How many of you guys are in here tonight, you got jobs you'd like to get out of, like to do this stuff full time? All right, I don't know if you've got the kind of job where you say to yourself, man, I can't wait to get out of this place. That was me every single day for the last 5 years I had a job. I mean, I'd pour 40, 50, 60 hours of work of my life into this place, and I'd just get home, I'd be exhausted. I mean, just wore out. And that started affecting my relationships with my coworkers. Started becoming a jerk to my wife, Kelly.
And Kelly.
I'm sorry, my wife and my kids. Sorry, I got one wife. One wife. I started just becoming a jerk to her. And I know there's something had to change. So, the path. We started searching for a different path that just made sense financially, as well as just giving us back that control we were searching for. So we found real estate. And I'm not just talking about flipping houses and chasing trends. I'm talking about passive income, flexibility, cash flow, freedom. That's what I got interested in. So we got to work. We started learning everything we could about it. Hired a mentor. Started watching everything we could watch, talking to everybody we could talk to. Started taking some small risks, nothing big. Started making mistakes, but we started stacking wins. And in 3 years' time, from the time we started, 3 years later, we both fired our bosses. Corporate life is over. So we're full-time real estate investors and full-time living. Does that sound fun to anybody? All right. So our journey, looking back on this journey, it's not all about rental checks. It's not all about equity in your homes. What we found out was this journey was really about faith. It was about stepping out and trusting God. We really believed that this detour in life, we believe that God give us the vision, not just for more, but for better. We wanted something, like somebody said earlier, something we could pass down to our kids, something we really teach our kids that we could just change their lives. And also, we just want to be able to help other people in a much bigger way. So this is where I'm going with all this. Our big why. We were sick of the system. Tired of this whole system we were being in. Year after year, I'd be at work, and I'd hear these old guys say, man, I'm getting out of here next year, I'm going to be 55. And I'm like, that's freaking awesome. So I'm like 30 at this time. That's freaking awesome, man. That's so exciting. Well, 55 comes, I'm like, why are you not getting out of here? Oh, this and this happened. I'm going to try for 57. 57 comes around. I was like, you're still here? I know it. This thing called insurance, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this insurance. And by the way, this is the number one reason people don't get out of factories, if you'll ask them. I can't afford the insurance. So this goes on. Maybe they say 60, 65. I've seen people who never made it out of that place. They didn't even make it to 65. I've seen others retire at 65 and they're still enjoying life. But I've seen a lot of people go through that building that retired and only got to, and it seemed like a year or two later we were going to their funeral. So that is what I didn't want. That was my big why. I had to get rid of that. But what we did want, it's pretty simple. I wanted less working hours. I wanted more time to do some fun stuff in life, and I wanted to be able to help people. So we're able today, thankfully, we're able to do all this because we built a portfolio, buy and hold properties, that supports our lifestyle. Now we get to teach our kids how to think, how to really think like an investor. And this is the thing I'm kind of most excited about, kind of how God's leading us now, is we get to help other people just to design a life about purpose instead of just a paycheck. And that's really cool to us. So guys, we're not gurus, like he said earlier. We're just two common, hard-working people. We figured some things out, and we worked the piss out of it. I mean, we found out what worked, and we got to work and worked it hard. So going through all this, man, we went through a grind. We had our trials, we had our tribulations. You'll never hear me tell anybody this is easy, but you'll never hear me say this is hard either. It can be done. I think the mindset you got to have is you got to have the right knowledge, you got to surround yourself with the right people, and you just got to take that leap. You got to step off and trust that things are going to work out. So I know some of you guys, you got totally different goals than what me and Kelly did. Some of you got jobs you love, and that is awesome. But you really need to see this game for what it is, and that's why we're here. We want to share some things that have worked for us with this BRRRR strategy, share some tips, share some wisdom, whatever we can do to help you guys. Hopefully, we'll give you guys something that's of value you can leave out of here and make better progress towards your own personal goals. So what I was talking to Justin about is I think we'll just break this down step by step. Go back one. We'll start with the buy, and then we'll go any kind of questions you got for us. Maybe you got some questions more about our story to tie some loose ends together, whatever you want to talk about. But we'll start with how we buy property, and then we'll just, after that, we'll just try to work our way through the questions down that list.
So I've got a question. You said that you started off and that
Yes.
you were on that hamster wheel. So it sounds like you were doing the normal thing where you have lifestyle creep. You got more money, but then every year there's more bills
Yes.
Yes.
somehow. Like you're you're like every other American where like, I don't know, but now I need 7 streaming services.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it. We're all this way. Like it keeps changing. So one of the things I heard in the back, and I appreciate it, was what's stopping me is the down payment. So let's start with that. That if I was just starting access to capital, down payment, like how did you pay for that first down payment? Did you have the savings? Did you have like investment properties? Did you liquidate something? Where did you come up with the down payment for the first property?
Well, our very first property we bought with private money.
There we go.
So it wasn't really a down payment, it was the whole purchase amount. And then we just paid interest-only payments until we sold it. That was our first was a flip. Our second was a rental, and we done it the same way with the same lender.
Awesome. So there we go. Like Jeremy in the back, don't need a down payment if I got a different strategy. And we've got private lenders in the room that are gonna lend off of the after repair value of a property, right? And if you can find the right property, you could, sounds like you're able to buy it without putting your own money into it.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the private money lenders that we started off with, they were close to us. They were actually my parents. We started off with them. But then like now we've spread out and started going to, like family and friends or people that know us. And their terms are different than the private money lenders that advertise, obviously. They're
Now, are you
cheaper
soliciting
usually.
them, or are those people that, because you like to share your story, they've seen it, they know it, they're like, oh yeah, you had success with this, so
Yes.
I'd feel comfortable lending you some money. We talk about not being shy about your goals, y'all. This is like, let people know what you're doing.
Yeah, so like Kelly said, started out with somebody who trusts us, which is extremely hard, by the way. They're seeing us sit here and talk about leaving great corporate jobs, and you're going to do what? And you want my money to do it with? Are you freaking nuts? That's the vibe we got at first. But we had to show them what they could make. And it was pretty funny. We showed her dad. He just bought a new John Deere Gator. You guys know I'm talking about, those little farm things. We live on a farm. And I was like, that the interest you can make off this next deal we're fixing to do could pay for your Gator. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, you can get enough money monthly to pay for this Gator. And he's like, well, that's pretty cool. I never thought about it that way. So it started inside the family, and then it started growing. Friends started asking about it. We started getting friends involved. People at church started asking about it. Got people in church involved. Now small business owners are wanting in. So we use private money, not at the scale a lot of these big lenders are. It's more like Uncle Dave, Sister Betty, Bob that you play golf with, Judy you play pickleball with. You get really good at telling people what you do and how you do it, and they want in on it.
Music to my ears. Yeah, I love it.
It's cool. We stepped out of the box with that. We got into this. We didn't have any money, really. We exhausted nearly everything we had trying to get started. So the guy told me, he said, you need to figure out how to do this with other people's money. And that's
Anybody want to hear how they do it with other people's money? Anybody got some parents they want to hit up for some money? You want to hear this story? Yeah, some.
The first commercial property I got was from my in-laws.
Yeah, so
They were more than happy to lend, and they just said, don't pay it off early.
everyone at home, Mike from Michigan, right, that shared earlier, said his first property was from his in-laws, and they were happy to lend on it, right?
Great place to start. Had we not had parents that had a little bit of money, that wouldn't have stopped us. I was already telling other people my vision, sharing, hey, here's what we're fixing to do. Wasn't really asking for money. I was just showing, hey, here's what I'm fixing to get into. I'm fixing to leave this corporate job. This is what I'm going to do. And that starts perking people's ears up when you start talking that way. Like, sounds interesting.
What kind of terms did you offer? And then we'll go to you, Garrett.
So our terms with our private lenders on our buy and hold stuff, we do interest only. We're doing 6% interest only with our buy and holds. So what does that mean? Well, if they give us a $100,000 loan that buys the property, fixes it up, they get a $6,000 return that year. So that term can run from 1 to 5 years is what I tell them. At the end of that 1 year, a lot of them are hesitant at first. They're like, let's just do 1 year. Well, you show them $6,000 that year and you call them up and you say, hey, your term's fixing to come up. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, your term's fixing to come up. Well, I don't want, you just need to keep my money. I'm like, well, if I have to, I guess, if that's what you want me to do. So yeah, we got to doing that with our buy and holds, and then it's similar to the flips, but it's a little bit different, but 6% interest only. And then we'll talk more about this in the refi of how we do that when it's time to refinance.
Anybody just realize they need to dream a little bigger when it comes to negotiating terms? I see some people in here that spend a lot of time talking about money. Yeah, that's great. Mm-hmm. And was that, so 6% interest only, and what was that conversation like? Garrett, what's your question, bud?
I was just going to ask, you did your first deal, private money with your parents. Was that, when you guys started to get into real estate, was that your first goal? Was let's find private money to do it, or were you looking for other avenues? And if you were trying to search other avenues, how did you arrive at, okay, let's go private money?
So
Does that make sense?
So the question is, the goal was to get financially free, and so was it that your only strategy was private money, or how did you arrive at the strategy of private money?
Arrive at using private money, and was there a strategy before that you just like hit a brick wall and you're like, okay, let's see if we can source other people's money. Let me see who I know.
I don't think we thought that much about it
Okay.
at all, really, honestly. We knew, like my parents were not interested in investing in the stock market or anything. They were very skeptical about that. And so their money was in CDs. And so we just went to them first without even thinking of the other possible options that we had.
Banks were in our mind, because that's usually what you hear about is banks first. Like, all right, I've got to save. You want 20% down? Golly, how are we going to do this? You know, you start scratching your head. That doesn't pencil out. That doesn't math out sometimes. There's got to be a better way. So I got the wheels spinning.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
The best ideas are simple, right? I had a vision. I started sharing my vision with other people, right? I asked for help. Help was provided. Money is energy, y'all. That's what we talk. Rob and I talk about this all the time. Rob founded Grid. Money is energy. When you put yourself in the path of it and you're trying to be a good steward of it, like, opportunities arise.
Yes.
Taking action is like the most important thing that a real estate investor can do that is just getting started, because you know the fear of making the wrong decision or anything just like cripples so many people. And in all honesty, it would have crippled me if I was trying to do it by myself, because I'm the detail in the weeds kind of person. And so I just had to trust him. And it just, I'm going to tell you, you're going to make mistakes, but hopefully they're calculated ones. And you can mitigate just about every mistake that you make. And I mean, I can tell you we've made our share. But you learn, that's the education in it all. Education always costs something. And the making the mistakes, you will learn from them, and I promise you won't do it again.
And I heard someone mention fear. Fear is an obstacle to taking action. Anyone else relate to that?
Oh, yeah.
Some fear, right? We are all motivated by fear of loss. And if you don't believe me, we live in the safest time in U.S. history. Prison populations are collapsing. They're going to run out. Check the stats. Like, you can go look at this. Like, they're dropping off. Recidivism is down. Do you see Gen Z kids going out and getting into fights and doing any of the stuff that their parents did? No. You don't. But reporting on crime through the roof. Violent crime has steadily fallen since the 90s. I see some of y'all's faces. Go check the data. And suburban people are the most scared people I ever work with. They are, all the time. I like living in real neighborhoods personally. I live in lots of gentrifying areas. Those are my kind of people. That's how I grew up. That is what I am comfortable with, personally. But I love selling suburban houses. Holler at me. I'll sell. I got a $2 million list that y'all can buy, you know. So people are motivated by fear of loss. That's totally normal. And I share that with you just to share that is just how we are. And the more we acquire, it's like, oh my God, I got on first base. I don't want to get thrown out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to get thrown out. I don't want to leave that corporate job. How am I going to?
What
right?
if? You start playing that what if game over and over and over. Yeah.
What about your health benefits? That's what my dad said.
What about your health benefits? It's Joe's question, right?
You hear it all the time. You hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Well, what about your 401k? What about your health benefits?
What about your
Buy
401k?
another
What about
rental
your benefits?
house. Let the cash flow from another rental house pay for your monthly insurance.
Yeah, but everybody just doesn't think like that.
Here's another way. Just get into sales and never have benefits. Yeah. So, what's up, Morgan?
We're talking about terms that you were negotiating. Were those negotiated as personal notes, like unsecured notes? Or?
So Morgan's question is those terms. How is that secured? Was it an unsecured note, or did they record a mortgage on the property? I guess is what you're asking. Yes. Okay.
So yes, they were. It was actually a secured note because my parents were skeptical at first because we left our corporate jobs to do this. You know, so yes, it was secured with a deed of trust that was recorded.
Yeah.
Always backed by real estate. That's what gets
Always.
people so interested in what we do is you tell them, hey, your money is backed by this piece of real estate. If I default, I've got you a property that I've done fixed up and shot the value of it. The best thing I could do is default, Mr. Lender. Then you're sitting good, but you know what? That's not happening. I got a family to feed. That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. And to keep this really simple, y'all, all a note is, you could go home and write one now. Now there's ChatGPT. All that tells it's a schedule of like, what's the amount, what's the payment schedule, what is the interest rate. That is the basis of a note. Couple signatures. The mortgage is the legal document that attaches that note to a deed of trust. That's it. Like, don't let these terms overcomplicate you. It is just that simple. I could write a one-pager that says I agree to pay you 6% interest only.
Yes.
And then I could pay an attorney a couple $100. Can you help me just create a mortgage to attach this to the deed?
Exactly, right. And you don't freak out. It's like when you get to that step, you ask people, there are professionals for a reason. You pay them for their services and you use them. You just figure it out as you go. Don't try to figure it all out before you even get started.
Yeah, because what I find is, it sounds real exciting to get into the weeds of all these plays. I've talked to y'all. The weeds are not the fine details are not what preventing everyone, right? It's I can't find a good deal. It's not the nuances of 6% versus 7% on the interest rate or something like that. That's not what's crushing these deals. It's I can't find a good deal, or I'm scared to pull the trigger, or I don't know where the money is, but we've never asked, does anyone have any money for a deal, right? Hey, does anybody have any money if I've got a smoking deal? Does anybody want to do a deal with me? If I find one, I got some that are coming. Raise your hands actually, hi guys, this is okay, look, there you go. There's money in the room, right? Hey, if I bring a good deal to y'all, would you pay me a finder's fee if I sent you a smoking deal?
Absolutely.
Yeah? Would you let me have 10% if I gave you if it penciled out, it made sense, you're getting your $600 a month?
Yeah.
Maybe. I'd have to negotiate a little bit.
There we go. So Jason, there you go. So what you're looking for in the room is Kelly. And you talk to Kelly first. No, but I'm being very serious. Does that make sense? Jason is gonna negotiate. He's a little savvy. Good for Jason. But I'm looking for the person that's just yeah, on paper, 100% I'll pay you a finder's fee. Right?
And that's our private money lenders. We specifically hunt for people that don't want to negotiate. I don't want to tell them. I don't want to say here's 6%. Can you do 6%? No. Here's our deal. Do you want it? All right, let's do it. If not, maybe there'll be what kind of percent would you like? Oh, you want 12%. Well, I've got a flip coming up. Maybe we could do some kind of little flip property coming up. Does that sound fun? Well, yeah. So I'm not negotiable on those terms. It is what it is. And if it don't work for them, it's fine, because if you force somebody in something, you're going to get in something. Man, I wished I wouldn't have done it with this guy. He's been a pain in my assets.
Any other buy-related questions before we move?
What about what kind of properties we buy?
Yeah, there we go.
Curious about that?
Nah.
Here's my criteria for buying property. A lot of meat on the bone. Not just a little chicken bone. I'm talking about a big Angus beef. That's what I'm talking about. We've got some formulas we use, but we look for stuff with a lot of equity. I know where some of you saying, well, there's no deals out there. Really? Really? There's no deals out there because you don't believe it. You got to have this abundant mindset. You got to believe that stuff's out there. And the good deals are not on the MLS right now. They will be. That stuff will come back. But you got to get out and hunt for them. So we buy single-family homes. Any more questions? Whatever we can go from that. Whatever you got.
I saw Toby, and then I see Shane. We'll start with Toby, Shane, and then Summer.
As far as overcoming,
There we go. You're in front, so I'll let you use that.
as far as overcoming buyer paralysis, did that come through the confidence that you had in the research in the property, or kind of how did you go about that?
What's buyer paralysis?
Just not
so,
wanting to
like
move on
when you
it.
first getting started, how you were talking about wow, this is a lot of information. I don't know what I'm doing. How did you get over that step and then just go for it? Did that come from confidence in your research in the deal?
It's been a process. We know a little bit about running numbers, but not much. It's been a process of I go back to our why. All right, I got to go back. Why am I doing this? I feel these fears. Yes, I need to negotiate. This lady's offered me this money, but that doesn't sound like a deal to me. I need to be bold here. I want now this freaking job. Let's do it. So
We had a mentor.
and that's Kelly's right. We had a mentor. When I would freak out, she would freak out. We'd get on the phone with her, say, hey, it's been a bad day, I need some advice. And she'd kind of walk us through it.
We give her the numbers, we give her all the known things, and she would never tell us, yes, that's a good deal, you need to act on it, or no, you shouldn't. But she would guide us to where we knew, without a doubt which way we should go. But she made us be the ones that made the decision to pull the trigger or not.
How long between when you decided, and I think you might know that moment, I am not going to die in this factory, I'm getting out of here, I've got a big why, and you bought your first property?
How long? I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad in
Told y'all.
2017.
2017. I read that book, and I'd go to work every day, and I was like, I cannot believe I've been here 20 plus years, and I'm just seeing this. Why did I not find this book 20 years ago? It just blew me away. And that got the wheels turning, baby. I was like, I'm getting out of here. And I had a good job. I was so thankful for it. I was just like, there's so much more out there, right? There's so much more. Like, we've got into this, and it's just like, are you serious? We bought a double wide a couple years ago for $70,000 near Boone Lake. We thought we was going to do a midterm rental with it. We tried it. It flopped, We sold that thing for $300,000, and we bought it for $70,000. And I was just like, how long would I have to work a job to do that? I'm like, it's blown me away. Back to your point, it's just a process. You gotta feel that fear, know what's going on, and just make some kind of bold little step, and you'll start figuring things out.
What I heard you say was, how big is your why? Right? How big is my why internally? We know this, right? Some of us have parents. There's some moments where you're like, no, I've got to make it happen. And there's some moments like, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to take the kids on vacation this year versus like, oh, I told them we're going. Yeah.
Our risks have always been calculated, though, and we would always ask people that knew more than we did about it, and we would ask them their opinion, until we got comfortable with doing what we do.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When you did that, if you don't mind me asking, how stable were y'all financially when you did that first one? Did you have like a certain amount of savings and you had reserves, or were you like, nope, we got to go do a flip so we can get out of this to break this pattern?
So when we paid off our house right before we got started, because we had been talking about it and everything, and we paid our house off to be able to get a HELOC on it. To
then
use
what did we
it.
do with the HELOC? $40,000 later. Education.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Here's how bad we wanted out. Tell them.
We spent $40,000 on education to start in real estate. We come to Knoxville for a 3-hour free session, which turned into a 3-day, which turned into $40,000 later. But we knew, that costs more than all of our college degrees combined together. Far more. And so we knew without a doubt we were going to make that money back or bust. There was no plan B.
That's like, you heard the term burn the ships?
We burned a ship.
We burned the ships right there.
So,
and you don't have to do that. Don't get us wrong. You don't have to drop $40,000 to do that. That was just us like, we're all in. This is how we're going to do it. We're all in right here. We're going to make
did
it.
you get your $40,000 worth?
In one deal.
Yeah, in one deal. So, no, that's fantastic. Also, you can leave us a review if you didn't spend $40,000 to be here today. just saying. We know what the competition charges. Yes, Duke.
All I wanted to ask, are y'all still focusing mainly on single-family dwellings?
We do.
Yes.
Yeah, we're single family. It's just our comfort zone. There's a lot of money to be made in multifamily and all that other stuff, but we just love single family homes. They're simple. There's not a lot of risk. You can get rid of them easy if you have to. You can make some really big money on them if you want to, and then they provide that steady passive money we need.
Briefly, just for all of us, how do you get rid of a problem family, problem tenant?
A problem, I've not had to do that yet.
So you have a good screening process.
We manage our own rentals. and we can get at in just a second when we talk about, or do you just want to go ahead and go into the rentals? Well,
No,
we
I've
didn't
got,
went
I've
to
got
rehab
one more,
side.
so we'll pin that. We'll hit the rent side of. That's a great question on the rental side. Is what happens when it goes wrong? What's my contingency
Yeah.
plan to get someone out of the property?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
The best way to do is pay them out. Everybody's told me the best way is offer them some money, get them out of there as fast as possible, because it's going to cost you long term if they're really problems.
Like cash for keys, you
I
know?
would- I worked for Walter and Christine Delgado. They had the Fannie, the Freddie, the HUD contract for Tampa and the 4 surrounding counties. And that is the takeaway that they told me. It's pretty common sense. Go talk to those people. Hey, we can give you a free month. We'll pay to help you move. Like, make it simple for them to get out of the property.
Make it feel like they're winning, like
Yes.
they got one up on you. Swallow your pride and say, oh man, this is going to hurt, but I'm going to give you this money, out of here.
Yeah, I'd say that's not so. Eric, and then I got some questions to ask me.
So did both of you guys step away from your jobs at the same time, or did you stagger it?
We staggered it. So it's funny. Going back after he read Rich Dad Poor Dad, he was like, here, you need to read this. So I read it, and then we read Think and Grow Rich, and then he was like, I think this is something you need to do. And I was like, what? After we went to that 3-hour free seminar, and then we went back for the 3-day, we made that decision that I was going to leave my job first. He made considerably more money than I did, and I had the higher stress job, and I was miserable, to say the least. And we had, our kids were what was it, 8 and 4 when we started doing this. And
8 and 12.
Oh, sorry, yeah, 8 and 12. And I had prayed ever since our oldest was born for God to give me a job to where I had more freedom and to be able to be home with her more. And when this came, I knew that was answered prayer. It was 12 years in the making, but I knew right then. And so I quit when we bought the education to start the company, and he continued to work for 3 years.
So the question I got from 2 different people, Garrett and some are thinking in the same way. How do you find deals?
How do we find deals?
So where do you source them from day one? You have 13 now, and did that change from day one, kind of as that normal corporate person, to now? Like, has that changed?
So Garrett is the king of the multi-part question. So it's going to be day one, what was your lead source, and what is your lead source now, and walk us through the evolution of the lead sources.
So like,
oh, you're good, man.
I'm trying to explain to him how I thought about this. So I'm really good friends with guys who go up north and bow hunt, big whitetail. And they always shared with me, I was like, how do you kill these great big bucks? And they're like, rule number 1, you got to be around them. You got to go find them. And then that stuck with me. I was like, everybody's telling me, I'm sharing my vision, especially with the people I work with, my parents, her parents. Here's what we want to do. And they're like, you're crazy. This is a buyer's market. Are you nuts? But I was like, you know what? I believe there's deals out there. I really believe they're out there. So what was the first thing we did? Our mentor she got my hind end over this. She said, Jason, this is so simple. It's so free. It probably doesn't work as good now. But back then, nobody was doing it. She said, I want you to write the messiest handwriting you can write and say, we buy houses, and put it everywhere you can. And I was like, Vicki, that's the dumbest idea nobody's going to do that. She said, I don't care. I just want you to get out of your comfort zone and do it. So I did it, and our phone started ringing off the hook because nobody was doing it then. There was so many calls coming in, and it's like, somebody else is wanting, what are we going to do? Because we didn't know much about private money then, so I was freaking out. So we could have made so much more money back then if we'd known what we know now, but it's part of the process. Started with bandit signs. And then she said, all right, now you need to tell everybody what you do. So I did that, and we had to get on Facebook. And she bucked up. She said, I ain't doing Facebook. Vicky's like, I'm not saying you have to do Facebook, but you need some way to tell people. So we started easing into it, started sharing stuff on Facebook. But it's really, now if I've talked to somebody out here in the hall, I figure out how to twist it. because I'm always looking. Does this person have a house they could share with me? Does this person have money? Because I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, which one is this guy? He's got to be one of the two. So I'll steer the conversation a little bit and just gradually ease into it and share what we do. So word of mouth has been huge. Another thing that's worked for us good is when we buy a property, I'll make it a point to meet every neighbor in the neighborhood. I share what we do. I don't know how many houses we've bought just by doing that. They see the work we're doing. They're like, hey, I've got a house down the street. Or, all this stuff's coming out. But probate is our big thing right now. We're big into probate. We network a lot with attorneys. We send out a lot of direct mail.
So probate, right, is any time that somebody passes away, the property goes through probate. They either die intestate without a will, or they have a will in place, but either way, it goes through a probate period to settle that estate, to settle up the liabilities of that estate, and to dispose of those assets.
Yeah, probate is what's let us find these. I don't know if you've seen earlier, we just finished up our fourth six-figure flip this year. A lot of that stuff comes from probate because nobody knows about it. And we're the first on the scene, not to sound like a vulture. We just say, here's what we do. We stumbled on this when we first got started. We were buying property, discovered that the properties were in probate. We thought, hey, why don't we reach out to these people? So we started reaching out to them. Hey, here's what we do. We'd love to help you through this probate process. If you got a house to sell, great. Maybe you don't need to sell. Maybe you just need some advice. And I give away a lot more advice than I do buying houses. But when I find a house, it's a good one.
Awesome. So, right, sometimes we share these stories and it's like, man, the best thing you could do is get a time machine and go back to buy in 2018. However, right now, six-figure flips, and what are we using? What do we talk about right on the front end? Social media, telling everybody that we're doing this. There's a reason why we talk about, I know this sounds dumb, guys, but we teach this in 31 cities around the country every single month. Like, it works. You can also go spend $10,000 on ads, but you could just do those things. And even if you're going to spend the money on the ads, it works better if people in your circle actually know what you do.
Yeah. I forgot about driving for dollars has been a big one. We drove a lot for dollars. We've got our kids trained. Now, they can spot a vacant house a mile away. They can. They know exactly what to look for. We give finder's fees, so we pay them if they send, we find one we buy. We make it fun for them, but that's been a big one for us. I've actually got a whole list of properties we got to mail out to that I've found recently.
Awesome.
Negotiate with your kids on the finder's fee too?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I negotiate everything. I was taught never pay full price for anything. Negotiate it.
Awesome. So on the rehab side, is it cover the buy side? We can come back to this. We can get more complicated with this. You can use private money. You could do what Garrett did. I could go leverage another asset using investment loans. Let's just keep that general. If you want to get into details, let's hit it. We can talk afterwards, right? I could go do a joint venture with someone that has that, to find somebody who's going to be the capital partner. I don't even have to I don't even understand the money side. I'll go find the deals. That's what Jason McDaniel did. He found somebody that runs Knoxville's Best. He had a partner, and he just was the guy that was going to go run the rest of the BRRRR. Right? But he was paying. That guy was his capital partner.
I kept hearing this early on. I was like, what is BRRRR? Is it cold in here or what? What's everybody talking about?
So let's talk the rehab side. I guess my question, probably the biggest question, is how do you estimate repairs when you're looking at deals? When you're making offers, how are you estimating repairs?
Again, it's been a process. I tell people this a lot. If you don't know how to do this, and this was shared with me, start at your own house. Go in your kitchen and say, if I was going to renovate this kitchen, what would I do? Measure it, visualize it. That's the big thing. You got to have it in your head what you'd like to do. Go to Lowe's, start pricing things out, call some contractor. That gets your mind thinking that way of how to run numbers. That has worked very well for us. Now, but in the beginning, I had a simple formula so I could make offers as quick as possible. If I could see it was just, and I've got a good, if I go in the house, I can see pretty instantly what I want it to look at. And she comes in and fills in all the details. But I'll run numbers, I'll say, all right, it's light rehab, paint, a little bit of flooring, that's what they all tell you, right? It just needs a little work. Simple stuff, it used to be $20, $25 a square foot. Bam, I could run those numbers quick. If it got into major stuff, we're looking at 40 to 50. But honestly, lately stuff has gotten so high, we've throttled back so much, I don't really have a good formula for you other than just start doing it.
So I love that question. If you haven't been, we sat here on stage with a couple of contractors, ran the numbers by them. If you were here, they said those numbers are great. So Grid Knoxville on Instagram, if you want to DM me or get with me after, but DM would help me like send it back out. We can send you the 4 levels of renovation. You can also find it on YouTube. And we went through that framework of it. Is it just a lipstick? Is it a simple? Is it a minor remodel or a major remodel with like a dollar per square foot kind of metric? It's just a rule of thumb. And that's right on the offer side. Now, did you get estimates? Do you get estimates before you close the deal?
Only if there's like something major
Gotcha,
going on.
Because you've done enough now, but that could be a strategy, I guess, could be like if I was
if we were
estimate
unsure,
to make an offer.
Anytime we're unsure about it, we're very good about reaching out. So
Okay.
yeah, if something didn't sit right with foundation or something big, I was on the phone with somebody, hey, I need your help.
And that was probably, it sounds like you had a mentor the whole time, so it was a
That
mentor or it was like a contractor resource?
Not so much the mentor on that, it was just local people that knew the
Yep.
market.
Okay.
And then so now we just base it on the last one we did,
Last few, we kind of take an average.
Yep.
We run an average, the last 4, here's what we spent per square foot.
And kind of updating, hey, labor seems to be moving, because this has been a really fluctuating market the last few years, right?
Yes.
And tariffs, I heard Lowe's is really going to start jacking up prices. I don't know if that's true or not, but you're going to have to reevaluate again.
Anybody got questions on that rehab side?
Rehab side.
So I got a question, and then we'll go to Shane, is what's your go-to? What gives you the biggest ROI when you're doing a BRRRR? What's your go-to? Hey, I know I'm gonna fix this in a house.
It's the kitchens and baths, always. That and the biggest headache is always.
So Jason said kitchens and baths always.
Kitchen and baths to answer that, and then the plumbing. We manage our own units, so I don't like fooling with tenants. So if it's got old plumbing, we just rip it out, go back, because that solves so many problems right there.
Right. So
then it's the HVAC. If it doesn't need one, of course, you need to install one, or if it's got one, you need to have it looked by a professional, make sure it's going to last 4 or 5 years. It's kind of what we do.
Because we're looking at this as a different lens, right? It's not a fix and flip. It's not someone else's problem.
It's my
When the
problem.
plumbing's iffy, it's not someone else's problem when it's got a Federated Pacific panel. It's my problem, right? It's my problem. So I am factoring in maintenance and holding and what is it going to be like to be in relationship with this property for 5 years. So I'm being a good steward of my funds. It's cheaper to fix it on the front end, right?
It is, and so much less headache.
Yeah,
But
they're trying to repair an occupied property. You don't want to do plumbing repairs on an occupied property or AC repairs.
Yeah, and I buck up a
emergency
lot.
AC. Yeah.
I buck up a lot, but she's like, she talks sense, and it makes sense. We need to do this now because it's just going to be a headache later.
Yep. I love that. Shane had a question.
Do you add ADUs or floors?
So Shane's asking, do we add accessory dwelling units? Did you say our floors?
Or add floors?
Okay, so basically, do you add either an accessory dwelling unit would be a separate living space, or are you expanding the living space in a property by maybe finishing an attic or finishing a basement or something like that, right, Shane? Gotcha.
We've added closets.
To make it a bedroom.
And
yeah.
add like a half bath. Sometimes we're getting ready to do that. We just had a tenant move out. We're going to try to add a half bath just to make rent go up a little bit. We do something like that. Nothing major, no.
No, we
nothing
don't.
major.
We don't do that much.
Because he finds great deals. It's got a simple formula. Amazing real estate deals flow to me easily and abundantly, and I'm finding deals that are so good I'm not having to do major, hey, I've got to go finish the attic for this thing to make any kind of sense, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not tight. They're usually not very tight. If they're tight, I just pass them on to other people. It's just our goals. It just doesn't good fit for us. Doesn't mean it's not a good fit for somebody else. It's just our own goals.
I love that because, right, when I have a strategy, I end up differently. Anybody know somebody that's in a relationship because they can't stand to be alone? Because they don't, you ask them what they're looking for, they cannot define their standards, right? It is no different when we're talking about a vision for our life, right? If I don't have a vision, then why would I filter that?
Right.
You know, I'm the risk taker. No, Kelly, we're going to go, like, we can make money off of this. Why wouldn't we do? I'll take one, the cash flow is $300 a month.
Right. Don't tell me what you don't want. Tell me what you want.
Right? Yeah. Again, simple frameworks, y'all. Simple frameworks.
When you say tight, what do you mean?
Tight deals?
Yeah.
Anymore, if
Not much margin?
if I can't cash flow around $600 a unit, I'm not. We're just to the point now. In the beginning, that wasn't true. In the beginning, it was still trying to make as much cash flow as possible. And then when I discovered how I could use private money, I was able to skyrocket that cash flow. But now, if it's not around $500-600 up in that where it's exciting, it's. Yeah.
Anybody got any questions on rehab? I think we really covered it very effectively on that how to refinance, how to estimate renovations. So on the rental side, like, what's your strategy? Does the future renter, does the house drive the deal, or does, like, man, I think this is a very rentable area, drive the deal?
So I think it's a really gut feeling with it. I try to explain this to people because a lot of people want a formula, but really when we pick a rental property, it's guts. You can probably explain that a little better.
Well, I mean, it is. It is. We like middle class, working neighborhoods. That's what we like. You know, there's nothing wrong with Section 8, you know, but if you're going to do something like Section 8, I feel like you've got to build a business around it because that's a strategy all its own. So you have to put in the processes necessary to deal with your clientele, you know, which is different than dealing with like the working class clientele. Nothing wrong with it, but you know, if you're just have one or two, they could feel like a pain because they're different than the rest of them you got. But if that's all you've got, then that's your business. And we know people that do that. I mean, it's great. You know, you've got the government, it's subsidized rent. You know, they pay the rest of it. So it's guaranteed. There's lots of good perks about doing that. It's just we have chose to not go that route just because we started in the working class neighborhood and that's just worked for us. So we just kept on working it.
That's who we were, you know. That's I know those people. Like I work.
We relate with them very well.
So when we teach how to find deals, right, there is a zone framework. Again, simple, stupid. These playbooks are simple. I don't know if anybody remembers Vince Lombardi, you know, the Green Bay sweep, like he broke the play down again and again. It is simple, stupid. So zone is zero in on a niche, own the mind share, right? Network and nurture within that niche, right? And then expand your influence inside that thing. So, right?
Is it niche or niche? Because I get all kinds of. Either.
Dealer's choice. Is it niche or niche?
I heard you got a niche to get rich. I always like that.
Yeah, the riches are in the niches. But so does that make sense? Like, hey, I was working in a factory. I totally get that. That's an area, a network. So I want to just expand in there, speak the same language. And I know probably it's easy. You could probably look at it through your own eyes.
I know.
Would you live in your rentals?
Yes.
Some of them.
Yeah, most of them. We have one or two. But yes, most of them.
Yeah, that's something I think to keep in mind. Is just would you live in your rentals, or would you live in your rentals at a different phase in your life? I don't live there now, but when I was 20 eating ramen, I would live in that place. Yeah, Eric.
So kind of expanding on that point, what had been put up there before had been 250 to 350 for after repair value, and you discussed briefly the kind of consequences and dynamic of dealing Section 8. What's the dynamic like if you go 350 to 550, that bracket?
350 to 550.
Are you talking about the type of tenant?
Yeah, and just kind of like the repairs, just how is that whole market, that experience different than the 250?
Well, is that a market that y'all play in? 350 to 550?
At one time, yeah.
So,
we did do that at one time.
What
but
was your perspective on that experience?
Oh, it's a great, I mean, if that's where you got to start, that's where you got to start. I think the the mindset was let's figure out how to get more cash flow. It's that what can we do type thing.
And I think one of the points they posted is it's harder to make your rent because I
Higher.
guess the purchase price is higher, so the mortgage is higher, so and the rent may not cover it.
That's true. If you're buying property at market level and above, you've got to charge that much rent. I mean, you've got to go max out, right, to make the mortgage payment and all that stuff. I think that's why Kelly and I are so different. We were able to find these off-market deals where, if I've got to drop rent, it's cool, it's fine, it's no big deal.
Yeah, and my advice would be, with respect to Jason and Kelly, I would ask, they're experts on what they're doing. And if I want to go into a higher price point market, I'd go, hey, who in the room is playing in that price point? And I'm going to go ask you, hey, what do you do at 550K houses? Because you're gonna be an expert on what you're crushing it at.
Right, and ours are not that high. Our houses, we've flipped a lot of houses up at that level, but our rental houses, they're pretty simple. A lot of 3-2s, ranch style houses or 2-1s. I love the single working man for a tenant. They're phenomenal because they do what they're supposed to do. So our rental houses are just working class people.
I've got a shortcut I can share with you. Had a conversation with a guy who manages over 1,000 units. He's on one of those national wealth calls, and he said, here's his tenant screening tip. Look at their car.
Oh, yes.
Big one.
Yes,
Look at how
car.
they take care of their car.
Yes.
Now, you might not rent to me. I don't really care about my car at all. But it's also not full of trash. I just don't wash it very often. But yeah, if the car is full and there's stuff falling out, and odds are that it's unlikely that person is OCD at home. Right? You know what I mean? It's unlikely that person is OCD at home but has a filthy car. If they are a fanatic and their car is perfect, I mean, lots of dudes in here, they could have a messy house, be obsessed with their car, but more likely, right,
Yes.
they're taking care of their assets.
We do that.
But you're talking more how they take care of it than the brand.
Yeah, no, just how they take care of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
We do that. We do that.
When I'm working with young guys and your car, I can't get in your front seat. It's dude, let's go clean your car out right now. That's it will
red
make a
flag.
difference in what's going on. There's no reason to not be able to see your floorboard.
We also make them jump through a lot of hoops too. We require first month's rent, last month's rent, and a security deposit before they move in. Period.
And they never talk to us until we've sent them through a series of things. We weed out so many people before I ever get them on the phone. There's so much stuff I could share about because we manage our own properties. We've got it streamlined now. There's so much we could share about this.
So same thing again. It just sounds like you made a decision to be choosy.
Yes.
And had a vision of what you're looking for, and you just don't waver on that.
Yeah.
Right. And we have a CRM, that helps us
Manage it.
helps us manage everything, and that's why we don't hop on the phone with them. We require them to fill out our free rental application to where we're able to read it, and then we jump on a call with them, but not until that point. None of this, oh, I seen that it's for rent, when can I go view it? No. You fill out a rental application first. It's free. You got to fill that out first. Then we'll give you a call and we'll set up a time to go see it.
So let's talk about the refinance portion of this, because we're going to be wrapping up here. And Jason and Kelly, I think, don't have to go anywhere right away. Happy to answer questions, and you can come up here and try to stump them and ask whatever crazy, complicated question that I know we like to ask, because it's easier to ask questions than to go ask for deals. So yeah, we can ask the crazy niche questions. On the refinance side, walk me through that one. So you did a flip, and then the very second one you did was a buy and hold, and you used that private money. Now, did you keep that note with your family for a while, or did you refinance out of it so you could reuse that money to acquire more stuff?
That's what we did, yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, we kept their money in play for a year, then we refinanced out with a bank.
Local.
It was a local bank with a low interest rate. It was 4.25 at the time. This was 2019. So yes, and so that we could reuse their money on the next one.
And what about right now? So now let's say we're using current interest rates. There's no time machine involved, because you're still doing some deals. We talked about this, and I like this, Jason. You said, I'm picky, so I do I'm doing like, if I get 3 or 4 this year, I'm happy.
Yep.
If I
So,
get 3 or 4 flips, I'm happy. Or 3 or 4 private loans, I'm, right?
Yep.
But are you, I guess I asked my own question before I come back to you. How many days are you doing activities to generate opportunity?
So we've got opportunities to buy property.
Just in
Yeah.
general, because you're running a couple of different plays, you got a couple of different income streams.
We do.
Sounds like that would let you be picky. How many days, how often are you taking action? Like, are you sitting back looking at 1 deal a month, or are you looking at, if I want to buy 4 deals, I'm going to have to look at 20 deals?
I've always had the mindset of doing 1 deal at a time. There was a time when it got really busy. We had private money lenders coming to us, a lot of properties showing up. I think we had 4 projects going on at one time, and I do not it's just me and Kelly and an assistant, and that was just too much. So I've always had the mindset, 1 house at a time, get it fixed up, get a tenant in it, get everything running smoothly. The marketing's got to go out. You can't wait till you get done to start looking for another house. The marketing's always got to be going out, and we've got a person we hire for that. The marketing's always out, but 1 deal at a time, get it running, and now let's do another one.
Okay, and so I sidetracked myself. On the refinance side, what does that look like for you now? Are you just using a local bank? Do you what kind of rates are you seeing?
we have not refinanced with the bank on any of our private money loans in over 2 years.
Okay.
It might be 3, just because of interest rates. Like we have bank loans. I mean, we have probably 6, 7. We have 7 bank loans. But we have not refinanced because we're not willing to take the lesser cash flow to refinance with the bank.
So how do you do it with a private money lender? How do you refinance with a private money lender?
So Jason's question is, how do you refinance with a private money lender, right?
So, well, we usually will pay down some of the principal because with our private money lenders, we do interest-only payments. And so at the end of their term, we will pay down a portion of the principal, and then we will use their money again, like a lesser amount of money, which would be a lesser payment for them, but it ups their cash flow. Of course, if they're interested. If not, we'll roll them into something else that's a little bit more attractive.
Or find another private money lender that wants on. That's our refi play right now because of the bank rates.
Gotcha. So what you've done is you've created a pipeline. So there's lots of ways to play this game, right? One of the ways to make deals work. I can find better deals. I could increase rent. I could lower my financing costs, right? I could get involved with tax advantages. If I've got great tax advantages and depreciation and cost segregation, that nominally flowing property could be amazing for me. There's many levers we can pull, so you're actually actively kind of prospecting on the private money side to find people. So you said you're always looking for 2 things. It's deals, or do you have money?
Yeah.
So they're kind of equally important as, do you have access to capital?
Yes.
That's the 2 biggest challenges every real estate investor goes through. Where do I find the deals? Where do I find the money? If you can put all your focus in on those 2 things, things will start lining up.
How many private lenders do you have right now that are, and I guess they're all taking about the same kind of terms? How many private lenders do you have, if I could ask, that are happy paying 6% interest only?
2 going right now, 2 or 3.
Yep.
We've got a lot of stuff going on now. We've gotten into this new thing called slow flip, so we're starting to bring private money lenders on that. So it's kind of getting a little bit muddy.
Sure. And then
2 or 3 right now
on the higher end, because you said you're doing some flips or some shorter terms, what are those people expecting kind of in interest rates? What do you say?
So yeah, you try to give somebody on a flip property, they like to see that double-digit return. So I start at 10, a lot of times, and if I'm not getting much traction, I might come back around at 12 or something. But there's no origination fees, none of that. Sometimes we do a deal split. If things line up correctly and we see that there's a lot of money to be made in certain circumstances, we'll do some kind of portion of a deal split.
So like an equity or a joint venture where it's
Yeah.
a percentage basis for the money.
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha. Has anybody before I go on, anybody have a new perspective about finding money after this conversation? Anybody have we talked about faith, anybody have some belief that it's possible? right? Does everyone think like Jason is like a financial wizard?
I hope not.
Right? No. I mean, you got many skills that I admire, but it's not like you came here, and you're like, I studied all of this and I got this special education and I cornered the investment market and I got a finance background. I worked in a factory for over 20 years and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Told you, everybody gets free from that book. And then I believed if they could do it, I could do it.
Yeah. We learned how to negotiate. My dad was always like what they call a horse trader. He was always butting heads, with people, and that didn't just sit right with me. I was like, there's got to be a better way to do it than pissing people off. But one of the early deals, this is a funny story, you'll like this. There was this lady who wanted to sell her house. She actually ended up being our neighbor. And, we said, well, I really need to run the numbers. And she's like, well, good, you just call me back when you're ready. So I called her and I was like, what was her name? Wanda. I said, no, the Baileys.
Yeah, well, Drew and
whatever.
Yeah.
I said, hey, I think we might be able to work out a deal with you. You want to come over to the house tonight? She said, oh, honey, I'd love to. Little old gray-haired lady.
Sweet.
She sits down and I start doing what Dad's doing. I start puffing up, doing that thing. And I forget exactly what I said to that lady. Something along the lines of, I was trying to get her lower, and I was like, it's not even your property, it's your mom and dad's. And she stood up and said, I don't care whose property it is. I'm the one in charge. And I was like, holy cow.
And I'm like, calm down.
I thought I was going to have to, wow, she'd probably whoop my butt as mad as she was.
He was mad too. He had to walk out of the room.
I walked out, but I learned a real lesson right there. That's not how you negotiate. So I've studied it, learned how to communicate with people, learned how to show them, that, hey, I'm just trying to work out a number that works for you. I know you need money. I understand you've got to have money for the house. The market's hot. But for us as an investor, we need to make money. Maybe we can find something here that works for both of us. And that's been a really good play to just get people to open up.
You're right back there in the Duke.
Did you actually get the deal though still?
No.
No, not that one. She wasn't budging.
I don't know that I talked to the lady again. She was mad. She was hot.
Yeah. And then
This
Duke.
is your neighbor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she lived a couple miles down the road, but we knew that family, yes.
Duke, go ahead.
All it is, two main focuses are the money and the deals, right? That's what you said.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where you need to spend your time. It's easy to get in this thing and think, oh, I've got to have the right systems. Oh, I've got to do like all this complicated marketing. Guys, you can get out and find deals. You just got to have that drive. That why's got to be there. If you believe it, and it's the same way with money. Oh, I don't have. Some of you are probably saying, well, my mom and daddy didn't have money. So what? Somebody does. Somebody that's got money. So I've had that belief, we've had that abundance belief that it's possible. All you got to do is get out there and go for it.
I love that. What's the ARV project?
The ARV project is something we've put together. It's a little platform where we share different things like webinars, blog posts, all that stuff. You can back up just a couple slides there. All right, so you guys have learned all about the BRRRR method, all right? So I've got to ask you you see how powerful it is. I also want you to think about, do you understand like sometimes when you're trying different strategies, sometimes it just feels easy. Like I don't know if you guys have done that, but there's a season where you can start trying all these different strategies and it just starts, it's easy. You can get through them, and then there's other times you try it and you're like, what happened? What went wrong? Well, the problem is not you. The problem is it's a cycle. Real estate has market cycles. So here's a couple questions for you. You don't have to answer these out loud. I just want you to think about them. We're about to wrap up here. Just think about these for a moment. What phase do you think we're in right now of a market cycle? Think about that. How do you know when it's time to go all in, start buying 3 or 4 rental property houses at a time, 4 or 5 flip properties, or should I just wait, let some things play out? And lastly, the moves, the decisions you're going to make, is that based on timing, or is it just based on a bunch of tactics somebody shared with you? Let those simmer for just a second. All right, so next slide. Here's what I think about real estate. It's a lot like a wave. It moves in cycles, just like waves. It comes in, it goes out. It repeats over and over again, 4 different phases. Now, if you know how to ride this wave, if you understand it, you can ride it safely. If you don't, you're going to get wiped out. How many of you guys have ever heard of what's called hydrofoiling or wakeboard foiling or any of that stuff? Well, that's been my little summertime adventure. I've been trying to figure out, like, this is something I really want to do. This looks so cool. So I went a different route than real estate. I went to YouTube University. Started watching all the videos. So I've been getting out in the water, trying to figure this thing out. But YouTube University doesn't have support. You know, you can't go to people. There's no mentor sitting there with me to figure this out. So this is me coming up on this board, and as you can already see, that board is at an angle, right? That's not supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be flat. Now when that board comes up, it stalls like an airplane, and it falls right back down fast. There's just no time to react. And when that happens, here's your 2 outcomes. You slap on your back, it knocks the breath out of you, or you go flip over the front and take in a lot of lake water, right in this area, right here. So I didn't know how to do this, but what I do understand is how market cycles move and how you can start to predict how all this stuff works. So there's a couple things you need to know about this. One is cycles repeat, markets move, and timing on this stuff, it's everything. You got to be at the right place at the right time. Now, I've learned this stuff in the last few years. We've been getting out, going into these masterminds, and I love to network with people all around the nation. I love to ask a lot of questions. So I started finding these people in 07, 08 when it crashed. I found these people who lost everything. They lost it all in real estate. But they had a lot of drive in them, and they went back to work. They started figuring things out. So I've been asking these people, all right, what would you do when it's fixing to crash again? What's your play going to be? So by studying, by gathering all this information, what we're going to do is we're going to share this on one of our webinars, the ARV project. If you want in on this, or you want access to this blog we do, we just write about our real estate strategies. We talk about market cycles. We talk about private money lending tips, just stuff that we wish we'd have knew when we got started. If you want on this, it's really simple. All you do is text that word webinar to that number right there. That will get you in our system. You will have access to me and Kelly. That's a simple text message away. Also, if you want to connect with us on Facebook, Jason and Kelly Ricker, one word, notice Kelly's EY. Please connect with us on Facebook. We'd love to talk to you guys.
And if you want to find them easily, right, I tagged them. You should be friends with me. Cory texted me, he's watching at home on YouTube. And he said, I'm doing great, by the way, so that's a confidence boost. But he also said, if you DM 4 levels, 4 in the word levels to Grid Knoxville, you'll instantly get those 4 levels of renovation. We've got a chat bot set up in there for you. You can also DM STR, and I think Flip. There's a couple different things you can do that'll automatically serve you. So if you're Grid Knoxville on Instagram, you can DM us 4 levels, and we'll give you the 4 levels of renovation. Along with like a dollar amount that I think is one of the better ones that we did. Cory came back with the vengeance. We did it 2 years ago, and someone called him out and told him his numbers weren't real. And then he came back this year and he was like, I got the receipts. I'm proving, like, I'll show you the numbers. I did it. I did more flips. And so it was really good when we had a couple different investors on there. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you pouring back into us.
Yes.
Yeah,
Glad to be
big
here.
hand
Thanks
from the
for
crowd. And there's something I'd love to share with you before we go here. So Grid, as you know, national, got lots of frameworks. We got more information. If you want to dive into there, come grab me afterwards. We can talk through. Happy to nerd out, go through the slides, get into the details. My big takeaway from today is like the best ideas are simple. Like this did not start with an insane spreadsheet. It started with the idea that I can go find opportunities and I can go find right money. And I know a lot of very sophisticated investors in here. How many people in here are getting money at 6% interest only? Right? That's kind of a recent, in those recent deals, people are recently taking those?
Absolutely.
Yeah. right?
This week, actually.
So that's what I'm saying is like just the best ideas are very simple. Grid is rolling out some new, nationally, a lot of new information. So we've got a platform called Circle. Circle is like Facebook or something, right? It's an online community that you can join. We're gonna unlock everything that we do at Grid because we've got some paid courses. I wish Scott was here. Garrett's been through this. We've got an agent investor certification that we've done. We've got an income flip course where we teach everything we teach in Grid in 8 weeks. It's all gonna be free. We're running the Alex Ramosi. We're giving away everything.
It ain't 40,000?
It's not 40,000. It's not 40,000. I've had some people ask me though, we are gonna roll out a national mastermind. So if you'd like to be in a national mastermind, if you want access to us, just within CASA, we've sold over $2 billion in real estate. That's a real number. We sold over $2 billion in real estate. Like we sell a lot of real estate. We've taken 56 listings in Knoxville already this year. Like we got locations in multiple states around the country and Grid's in 30 cities. There's some really amazing, some of the biggest agents run these chapters around the country. That's gonna be rolling out if you're interested. This is always gonna be free. YouTube is gonna be free, but I know some of you, right, have asked me, you want more, you want this. That's gonna be available, we'll share that. We'll send that out to you. And what I'd love is if somebody can grab me afterwards, I would love to hear your feedback. We do so much. I wanna sit down with the team, so when someone walks in and they're new, like what are the 5 emails I could send them? What are the 5 things I could tell them to kind of tap in to find value? Because I think I keep hearing people over and over again of like, there's so much you can do in the ecosystem, and they're like, I didn't know it was national. I didn't know there was a YouTube channel. I didn't know I could watch from home, right? Share that with you. If you like this, what would be amazing, we're on Google at CASA, Knoxville.com. Leave us a review. That's how you can thank us. You can go over there. There's a QR code sitting on that table over that CASA table. That'd be fantastic. And if you know anybody, Cory needs some help. He was gonna make the announcement today. He is looking for an agent partner. He needs somebody to run this stuff side by side between 3 kids under 5 and run renovations and his own rental properties and listing properties. He's looking for an agent partner. So if someone wants to apprentice, they wanna learn the game, he is looking for a great agent to go with them. Thank you so much for coming out here today. Stick around if you need a connection. Don't leave without that. Happy to introduce you to somebody. Thank you again to Jason and Kelly. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.